Welcome to the Sewing Whisperer. In this quick and beginner-friendly video, you'll learn how to sew one of the most essential seam techniques, understitching. This foundational technique is used in almost all garment construction projects, perfect if you're just getting started with your sewing machine or want to build confidence with core sewing skills. Hi and welcome. If you're just getting started on your sewing journey, you're in the right place. I've spent over 30 years in the fashion industry teaching people to sew, and every one of them have been able to sew with confidence. In this playlist, I'll walk you through the essential seams you need to know step by step. Let's get started. I'm demonstrating these seams on an industrial machine, but don't worry, everything I show can be sewn on any domestic sewing machine because it's the technique that matters most, not the machine. Let's take a closer look at understitching. You'll notice a row of stitching along the curve on the wrong side of the garment. But if I turn it over, there's no visible stitching at all. And importantly, you don't see the facing rolling to the outside. It creates a beautifully clean, professional looking edge. So what is understitching? The goal here is to secure the seam allowance to the facing. This helps keep the facing on the inside where it belongs. You'll also see the seam has been clipped. This allows the curved seam to spread out smoothly when turned. Without these clips, the seam would bunch or pucker. You'll often find understitching used on neckline facings, armholes or waist facings on trousers and skirts. Want to follow along? There's a free downloadable pattern linked below in the video description. Let's sew the sample together. To start, I've marked the center of the curve with a small clip. The facing is prepped with fusible interfacing and the outer edge has been overlocked. Place the fabric pieces right sides together with the interfaced facing on top to provide strength and control. In industry, pins were scarce, so I learned to sew without them. But I do recommend pinning your pieces before sewing to keep everything aligned. Sew the seam with a 6mm or 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. If you're using a commercial pattern, use the full seam allowance specified, then trim it down to 6mm afterwards. Don't forget to back tack at the start and end to secure the seam. Once the seam is sewn, clip into the seam allowance every 2 cm or 3/4 of an inch. If your curve is tighter than mine, feel free to clip a little more. There's no need to measure, just eyeball it. Don't cut V-shapes into seam allowance. They'll create small bumps. Just use small snips, as I'm showing here. Now push the seam allowance towards the facing with your fingers. Sew a line of edge stitching on the facing side to hold the seam allowance in place. Make sure to gently pull the seam flat as you go, but don't stretch it out. You want to avoid creating a fold or a ripple. Finally, press the seam again with the facing on top. Aim for a whisker of the main fabric to roll to the inside. When you flip it to the right side, there should be no facing visible, just like in the finished sample. If that makes sense, let me know in the comments. Was this your first time learning understitching? Well done, you've just taken a big step learning why, when and how to use understitching, which is a foundational skill used in so many garments. In the next video, we'll build on your knowledge of seams with the French seam, a technique that gives lightweight and sheer fabric seams a polished professional finish without the need of an overlocker. If you found this helpful, be sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss the next one. And if you're following along the whole playlist, I'll see you there.